All right, so now let's say, look at the questions here. All right, you have two write-up questions. The first one is to create a method when given a text that will return the total number of letters and also the total number of spaces inside the letters. Okay, so let's see how do we do that. I could just open up a Visual Studio to demonstrate that. So let me open up. So let's see. I should be in OneDrive. I don't know where is OneDrive. Let's go to here. Okay, so that's 315. And then we did 5, 6 examples. And you know what? Let me just do the new one, the new project. Okay, so let's see, that will be create a new one. And then we'll do Windows, Forms. Okay, let me change that to homework 9. I will save to my desktop again. Okay, and this project is in directory now. Press create. All right, so we have a form. So at this point, I don't need a form, so I just need to write a function, right? Okay. So let's just put a function inside the forms code page. Okay, so there's a class, form1, so I'm going to collapse that. So let's create a new function just in parallel to that. So let's read the question here. The question was saying that if I give you what is given, let's read the text again. So if I give you a text, so which is a string, our input is a string, and it returns total number of letters and also the total number of spaces. The total number of spaces. So what does it mean is that we will need to use have two outputs and one input. Input is a string. So we have to use outer parameters. Okay, so I will have a void. The function will not return anything. And then I just give a name. I just say count letter and the spaces and spaces. Okay. And the input is a string, so let's just say that, oh, it's too much. String, it's just a message, okay, message. And then we have to have two outputs. One is total number of letters, so total letters. The second one is total spaces, that's also integer, total spaces. All right. The first output is easy to get. So just say total number of letters equals to message dot length. So that is total number of letters. The second one is the number of spaces. For that, you will have to split original message into individual characters and then compare how many chars. So let's just initialize that first. So total spaces equal to 0 first, okay? And then I'm going to create an array okay, char array, which is chars equals to MSG, let's say to char array. And then I will use a for loop, integer I equal to 0, and then I less than the number of chars dot length, the total number of characters. Okay, and then I plus plus, and then inside I just need to make a comparisons. If chars square I, so the bracket I, you have to put it inside the parentheses first. Equal to space, just single quote, space, single quote. Okay. Then we will just increase the count. So total spaces. You can just place plus plus. Okay. There we go. So that's so after this for loop, then this total spaces will be counting how many spaces inside that. So that this is the whole function. Okay, and there's nothing to be returned. You don't say return total spaces because this output total spaces will be used to carry the total number of spaces back to the column, to the place that it needs to find out what is total number of spaces. Hello, somebody has background noise? Who is making that background noise? Okay. Now, next question, create a method so that when you're given total number of seconds passed, and then the method will return the whole hours, whole minutes, and the whole seconds. I think we did that before, but now you just need to put that inside a function. So the function is going to return three things: the total number of hours, total number of minutes, and total number of seconds. Okay, the input is total number of seconds. All right, so we can just create another function using outer parameters again, void, and then just say count hour, minute, second, something like that. Okay, so integer input is going to be total seconds. Okay, comma, and then we're going to have three output. One is hour, out integer the minute, and then out integer second. Okay. All right, how do we get that? So basically, hour is going to be just, if you divide it by whole thing by 3,600, then you get the total number of seconds. Okay, so get total number of hours, and then so total hours, total seconds, and then divided by 3600. Okay, so that gives you the total number of hours, and then the remainder part. You need from the remainder part you need to get divided by 60 to get the number of minutes. So I was just trying to. Well, you can declare variable, so just remainder. Okay, remainder equals to total seconds divided by 3600. Okay, so now you get a remainder part. From that remainder portion, now you can calculate minutes. So minute is going to be remainder, and then divided by 60, right? Okay, and then the division. The remainder of that division, the remainder percentage sign will be the remaining seconds. Okay, so there we go. We have that function. Okay. All right, so we have two done, and just watch how much time we used. Right, it's just what 15 minutes, right? 10 minutes actually. 10 minutes to finish two questions. And then next, create a method that returns the mean and the standard deviation of an array of decimal numbers. So you need to create, just say the input is array, like a decimal array, okay, or maybe double array, and then you're going to so let me, if I go into I can't, can I do that? Let me see, I can draw this. Probably I cannot because I have to switch screen. So anyway, let's just create a function first. Okay, so what is given and what are the outputs? So let's say void. Okay, now we'll do so a given name. Let's just say there's a simple stat. Okay, so we are given output array. We just say that's data. Okay. And there will be two output. One is mean value. Another one is other one is standard deviation as TD DEV. Okay, something like that. So how do we get a mean? That's easy, right? So first of all, we need to find the sum of these numbers, and then the sum divided by the total number of numbers will be mean. Okay. So before we calculate the sum using loop, we have to declare a variable to hold the sum. So let's say double sum equal to 0, semicolon, and then we can use for loop or for each loop either way. So let's use a for each. Okay, for each double x in data. So in other words, for each item inside this data, we just add them. Sum equals to sum plus x. So that will give you the total number of the sum of those data. And then we can just do mean equal to sum divided by the total of numbers. So that would be data dot length, right? The total number of numbers. So that's mean. Okay. After we have the mean, then we need to do what? Do standard deviation. To do standard deviation, we have to use each number of data minus mean and then squared. Okay. So for that, I'm going to declare another variable. Let's just say square sum. Okay. That's also initialized to 0. And then say let's do for loop this time, okay? So just trying to give you different variations. I equal to 0, and I less than data dot length. All right, and then I plus plus. Okay, so essentially it's just exactly the same thing as this one. Okay. All right, so now we try to calculate the sum of the squares. All right, so what we do is for each item, square sum will be equal to square sum plus, let's do the square, okay? So that would be mass at the power QW, okay? And then we are going to use data square I minus mean as a base, and then the power is 2, right? That is just put parentheses like a data I minus mean squared, parentheses and then squared. So you add all those together, then you get a square sum of squares. And then you're going to do variance, right? So let's say double. Let's say double. So I don't know what's trying this intelligence help sometimes. Give me one thing here. Double. Okay, and then say variance. That variance will be equal to square sum divided by data dot length. Okay, so you remember the formula, right? Formula. So basically, just in the top, the bottom is n. The top will be x1 minus mean squared plus x2 minus mean squared, so on and so forth, right? So that will calculate the variance. And then after we have variance, we can do standard deviation STD DEV, which is output parameter. So now this final line will decide what will be output? So that will be math dot square root, okay, and the square root of variance. There we go. So this is a function to do that. Let's just let you know that this one, I sort of like I use two loops. One loop to calculate the mean, another loop to calculate the variance. But as a matter of fact, this can be simplified. You can just do it in one loop, okay? So that will reduce your so-called complexity by 50%. So complexity just means that in algorithm. So if you're a computer science student, if you take a computer science class called there was algorithm class, and there was just count how many operations you need to use to compute to do the calculation. The total number of operations, is called. You can sometimes call the cost of computing. Okay, so here by reducing the loop by reducing two loops into one loop, you actually reduce the complexity by 50%. Okay, how can you do that? What I can do is I can show you that there's another way to calculate the variance, calculate the variance, and using that new formula, actually you will be able to just do one loop. That loop will be able to find the sum and also square sum together without the need of calculating mean first and then do this. Okay, so that formula is. Let me see, let me do that? I will switch to second screen and then use a whiteboard to show you that. So let me see. Is here. Okay, if I cannot do this here, so I have to switch to different screen. Share second screen. Okay, so then I can put this whiteboard in here. Okay, so that formula is this. So let me put it into the same place. I think the last time I explained to you how to calculate the variance using a formula that is here. Yeah. Right. So that's how to calculate the mean, and this how to calculate the variance. And then what I'm going to tell you is there's another way to calculate the variance. So that is the variance is equal to. Okay, so what you will do is you do x1 squared plus x2 squared plus xn squared. Okay, and then you're going to do minus n times mean squared. Okay, and then you divide it by n. So this new formula can help you to simplify, to improve your computational efficiency by 50%. Okay, so just think about how would you calculate this? How would you do this calculation? Okay, so this will not require to calculate the mean for variance first. So you can calculate all of them at the same time. Okay, but you use a one loop. All right, and I think that is your homework. Of course, the rest part would be simple. Just simply say you are going to create a button that will generate random numbers. Generate how many? 500, 5,000 actually, and the numbers between. Oh, okay. Let me tell you how to do that. So let's go back to the other screen. Okay, so let's see, let's go back to here, all right? So let's just say I'm going to just put a button and then we'll just show for the code of the button. So just say this is button that is give a name here, give a text. Let's just say stat, simple stat, okay. Simple stat. So also give a name, btn stat. Okay. All right. Then let's double click and let's just follow the question again. So basic question asks you to create 5,000 random numbers between 15.5 and 18.9. Okay, so we need the random number generator. myGen equals to new random, and then we need to declare array double. So let's say data equals to new double. Let's just say that would be 5,000. Okay, and then we just need to generate the numbers for each of the number inside this array. So let's just do for loop. I will just for each, okay, for each double x in data. Okay, so x will be equal to my generator dot next double, and that, remember, that will give you only the number between 0 to 1. Okay, so if you want to generate number between the two between the range, but in this range, which range? The range is between 15.5 and 18.9. Okay, so in that case, you will have to multiply the range. So that would be 18.9 minus 15.5. So that is the total interval length. Total interval 18.9, right? Yeah, and then 15.5. Yeah, that's right. So that will give you, so basically, you know, the number multiplied by 1, so that will give you the length. And then that total thing plus the the starting point, which is 15.5, and that will give you the number between 15.5 and 18.9. Okay, so that's how you do that. Okay, so let me see, what is this one? It says cannot assign x because it is for each iteration variable. So actually, for this one, we have to use for loop, regular for loop, because we have the reference to the index. Okay, so let's do that. Index. So integer I equal to 0 and I less than data.count length, and then I plus. And here will be just say data I equal to the new number. Okay, so after the numbers generated, now you can just pass this the call the function to generate to get the statistics, right? So to call these functions. So to do that, we need to prepare for input. So input is data already there. So we already have data declared, and also data has now been assigned with values. So input is ready. So we just need to declare two output variables. So that would be, let's just do that. Double, so mean, and then st plus s. Okay. So those will be for output. And now we are ready to call the function. And since the function is void, so we just call the function as a command. So simple stat. Okay. And then we'll follow the guideline here. The first one is say what is the input, so that's data. And then what is output variable? Variable we already declared as m, so we say out m. And the next one is out s. Okay. There we go. And then you just need to have a way to tell what is output, what are the mean and what the out standard deviation. We can use a message box here. Message box .show. Okay. And then we can just write the whole thing and then say the mean is m. Okay, and the standard deviation is s. Okay, so then we need a single variables out This is mean, is mn. Okay. And we need a single variables out. So what are the variables? This mn, right? So what we do is double quotes before plus, and then after that variable, just plus and double quotes. Okay, and let's do it again. Before the variable, double quotes plus, and after the variable, plus double quotes. Okay, and there we go. So that will give you the output. So you can use text box. I don't know whether with the question asks you use text box or not. Let me see. Call the function to show the mean standard deviation of the numbers. Okay, it does not say in which way you have the report. So I use text box, use message box. That should be okay. All right, so that will be your homework review. I took us about 40 minutes. It's 40 minutes? No, 5:15, 30 minutes, actually. 30 minutes to do that. So the whole homework takes 30 minutes. And then let me see whether you have any questions. I'll pause for a second, and then if there's no questions, I will close this one. Does anybody have a question?
Can you put that on eCourse when we're done today?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Why you did not follow? Emily?
Oh, I just got a little behind, so if you could post it, that'd be awesome. I just don't want to take up too much of the time until review.
Okay. All right. So that's fine, but just make sure whenever you're behind, you need to let me know. I will slow down. Okay. All right. So I will stop here. Close this. Save that. And this is your work. Now talk about your exam. First of all, do you have any questions or concerns about the exam 2? No questions? No concerns? Good. So you know that the format is going to be similar to the first exam. You're going to have like a in-class multiple choice questions, which will be about 70%. I have not created the question yet, so it should be around that range. And the rest will be take home. Okay, for take home part, you can use your books. You can use Google to search for answers, and you can use your own notes. You can go over your past lectures. However, you cannot ask anybody for help. Is that clear? Okay. So we're trying to simulate the real work setting. So in the real workplace, the programmers of course they use Google to search for help, and then they use books, they use notes, of course. But for helping to get other people to help, everybody's busy. So in the workplace, you probably cannot get that kind of help. Okay, so you have to do that work on your own. Plus, this is the exam, so everything you submit for grade must be out of your own work. Okay, so that is basic what we call the code, basic code for like integrity. Okay, and as far as what to review, I guess you have to review all your past homework questions, including multiple choice questions, and also your hands-on questions. For all your hands-on questions, if you have done those with help of others, make sure you can do it yourself now without asking for help. Okay? If you always rely on somebody else to help you, then you probably have to do a little bit more, be a little bit more diligent, trying to see whether without help you can do those homework questions again, and then compare your answers. Okay, and then all lecture notes, of course. So for exam 2, let me see what will be covered. I think you need to go over week. Let me see, starting from week 5, I think, right? Let me double check. So week 5 outline is here. So over there, we talk about global variables, if else statements. Yes, we started from that, decision variables. So week 5, all the way to week 9. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you basically have 5 5-week stuff to review. So week 9 will be the last one. Let me say that will be the one we did the last class. Okay, so basically covering how to create functions with multiple outputs using out parameters. And plus, we did quite a few interesting functions in week 9. Okay, so what are the things in this period we covered in this period? We covered variables, global variables, and we covered if-else statements. We covered arrays, loops, for loops, and also a while loop. And we covered how to create methods. So basically week 8 and week 9, we cover methods. And week 6 and 7, we did arrays and loops, okay? And then week 5, we just do if-else statements, okay? Week 5, I don't think it's not much. It's just because I think that was one after the exam, we just have 1 day class, something like that. Okay. All right, so that will be just general guideline how to review. And now let's take a look. Does anybody have questions? I'll take a look some of the review questions I posted. Okay, so for that, I'm going to switch to another screen. Okay. Switch to second screen. Okay, so let's take a look some of the. So first, give you a list of things you need to know. Then review questions, and let me try to ask you whether you have any questions that you want me to go over. Does anybody have questions you want me to address? So what is a runtime arrow? Runtime arrow is just the arrows. For example, when we do division, what if the divider is 0, right? Division by 0 case. And I think we did some few other cases. So when you create a function, create a method, a function, when you have runtime arrows, you have to throw new exception, okay? That's how you handle runtime arrows. So runtime arrows as the kind of arrow in comparison as opposed to like a design time arrow. Design time arrow is the arrow that you write a code which is incorrect. Okay, you write incorrect code. You do not follow the syntax, and you get a compilation errors. So basically the program will not run. But the runtime errors is you still can compile the code, and however we are actually running the code, you encounter the situation, you encounter the problems. Okay, so those are runtime errors. All right, and then let's look at example. Question 25, true or false. Okay, so for the method, do it. So has integer x as input and then integer y as output. And this is a correct code to call the function. Let me say whether it's correct, okay? So to do that, you need to have input. You need to have variable for input. And also the variable must be initialized, okay? And then for output, you need to declare variable. So let's see. So here you declare output, but there's no output input. Yeah, but input is 23. That's fixed value. That should be okay. So actually, this is the correct one. Okay, correct way to call the function. Because the input is already giving you data. Okay, so you say instead of declaring variable, then you initialize that to 23. You can just directly pass 23 as argument. Argument is just like data for the parameter for the input. Okay, so this is okay. So this first one is correct. Now let's say 20 through 24. What is wrong with the following code to create a method? Create a method, yeah. So the method is a private, and then integer, and then get age, and then say out integer y, and then say y equals to 24. So if you put that into like multiple lines, basically the function, the body has only one line code, which is y equals to 24. And since you have out integer y equals 24, so then basically this function will return y, which is 24, back to which is 24, the value 24 is assigned, and the result will be 24 back to the caller. Okay. However, what's wrong with this code, with this method, is that when you use outer parameter, you usually do not use this. You make this as a void. Don't use this. Don't create like another return, another data type for the function to return. Okay. And if you do have that, then you have to have a return. But there's no return statement inside the function body, right? So that will be wrong. That's how you can say either it's missing return, or this function body should not. This function should have this as a return type as a void instead of integer. Does it make sense? Okay. Now let's do 28. Just do those coding questions here. What is wrong with the following code? So the code has, so it's a function again, so private, so you forget about private, public, okay? So return type is integer, and then this is sign, v, and then input is double x, and then function is a return mass.sign of x. So this input is x, and then you calculate sign function of x. Okay, so that part is okay. So this seems to be okay. However, if you look at here, this is integer. The return output is integer, and that return, what is actually returned is double, right? Sign function, right? Sign 0 is 0, sign 90 is 1, sign 180 is 0, right? So if you have a sign function, that usually give you like a double number, decimal numbers, right? So sign 60 degrees, sign, that would be square root of 3/2, right? So this will usually give you like a double numbers, but then what is actually returned with output data type for the function to return is integer. So there's a mismatch. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let me see whether there's any question. Okay, let's do code analysis. Okay, I think those questions are more interesting. Okay, so first question is, what does the following code do? So here you are given integer equals to 100, and then use a while loop, and as long as x is greater than 3, then you just x equals to x divided by 3. So you keep on dividing by 3 until x is less than 3, right? Until x is less than 3. So if you want to use this, if you want to do that, just do manually. Let's see how we do it. What is the result? So first, you have x equals to 100. Okay. So let me just put this here. Okay. So first you have x equals to 100. Okay. And then you check to see whether x is greater than 3. Yes. So step 1. Step 1, you check. So x greater than 3, yes. Now, if that is true, then we're going to do the code. Okay, so x equals to x divided by 3. So now what is x? So x will be equal to, so the result x will be equal to 33, right? Okay, so this is result. So let me just put like a comment here. So after the division, first time you run the code, x will be equal to 3. X divided by 3, and then x will be 33. Okay, and then you are going to move on to step 2. Step 2, you check again. Is x is still greater than 3? Yes, because x is 33, right? 33 is still greater than 3. So then you do the division again. So x equals to x divided by 3. So the result is going to be x equals to 11, right? Make sense? And then you do the check again. So step 3, you check, is x still greater than 3? Yes, it is, because x is 11. So you do the division again. So x divided by 3 again. So the result will be equal to what? 3, right? Is 3? Yeah. Not 4. 4 you have to be 12. Okay. And then you're going to do step 4. Step 4, you check. So x greater than 3, yes or no? No. So now you stop. So this step 3 will not be executed. Okay. So finally, what is the final x? Final x is going to be 3. After this loop, x will be equal to 3. Okay. So how do you write the answer to this? So this will be just say keep on dividing by 3 until x is no longer bigger than 3. Okay. That makes sense? Okay, now let's the next question. You're given two integers x and y, and also declare variable z, and then make z equals to x, and y x equals to y equals to z. So I think we did this kind of question before. That's just basically swapping values of x and y, swapping values between x and y. So to do that, so you would create a temporary variable z, and make z equal to x. Okay, so store x value into z first. And then you can use the new whatever the x to copy y value, and then you copy z back to y. So basically, this is swapping values between x and y variables. Okay. And what is wrong with the following code? So here, let's say you have integer x, and then while x is less than or equal to 10, x will be equal to x multiplied by x. So what does this do? What is wrong here? So for this kind of questions, just check, say whether it's infinity loop or whether all the variables, when you use it, are already declared and initialized. So here we declare the variable x, and then we say y, and then we go to first step, and check, say whether if x is less than 10. How can we check? Because x has not been given value yet. So x has not been initialized with a value yet. So the first step, you're going to encounter error saying that, that x has not been initialized. So you cannot compare x with no value with 10, right? Because x is just like a, just blank memory block without any data ID initialized, and then you compare that with 10. Of course, you cannot compare. So then this while loop will be broken, okay? So the while loop cannot be compared. So that's wrong. All right, now let's do 4. What does the following code do? So in this case, we have x declared, initialize x equal to 0, and then say while x is less than 10, you will just keep on add 1 to it. Okay, so what does this do? So let's just trying to look at do a few steps. Okay, analyze. So which one we are doing? I think this one. Okay. What does this do? So we just initialize. So first, you initialize x equal to 0. Okay, that's first. And then step 1. Step 1, you check. Is x less than 10? Right? While x less than 10? Yes, because x is 0 now, right? So yes. So yes. So you actually do the code. So now the code will be x equals to x plus 1. So what is x? X will be equal to 1, right? Does it make sense? X will be equal to 1 because it's starting with 0 and then plus 1, okay? So now you do step 2. Step 2, after you finish all the code, you check again. Check, is x still less than 10? Yes, it is, because x is 1 at this point. So you do the code, so x will be equals to x plus 1 again, so what is x? X will be equals to 2. Does it make sense? And then you do step 3, you check again. Check, is x less than 10? Yes, it is. So now you increase that by 10, increase that by 1 again, so x will be x plus 1. Okay, so what will be result? And x will be equal to 3, right? Okay. So you continue with that. So basically, you can count how many steps you need. Okay, that's for the while loop to be finished. Okay, I think you need to do like 9 steps, right? So x, after you get x equals to 9, then you plus 1 again, and you get x equals to 10. X equals 10 is not less than 10, so then this while loop will be broken. Make sense? Now let's do question 5. Let me try to manage time like this. Okay, so 5, what does the code do here? What does the following code do? So here, integer x equals to 1, y equals to 1, and then say while x is less than 50, you will just do y equals to x, y times x, and then x equals to x plus 1. So what does this do is you every time you increase x by 1, you can consider that as just like a counter, okay? So you can, from that, you can say how many steps you're going to execute. So starting from 1, x equals 1, every time you increase by 1. So this while loop will be doing until x is equal to 50, okay? So you probably, you will have to just do what, 49 of this, 49 steps to reach to this step. After that, the loop will be broken, okay? And after, so what does y do? Y basically just every time you have a new x, you just multiply the x with existing y, okay? So what does this do is you basically are going to get, say, let's just say x will starting from 1 all the way to x equals to 50, okay? And then y will be equals to, starting first one will be y, the first step, y equals to 1, and then y, and x is also 1, so the first step is 1, and then you times 2, x equals 2, and then you times 3, and then you times all the way to what? The last one will be 50, so that will be like a factorial, okay? So this is what this code will do. All right, next. Let's say, what's wrong with the following code? So here, let's say, analyze the code here. So if x equals to 1, and then while x less than 10, then you make x equals to x multiplied by x. Okay, so this is actually a very good question. So if we try to analyze this, and then you will see the few steps, you will be able to see what is wrong. Okay, so first, let me just put this up here. So if first you make x equals to 1, okay? X equals to 1. Let's see, x equals to 1. Yeah. And then you use a while loop. Okay. So your first step, you check, is x less than 10 or not? Okay, say yes, right? Because x is 1. So then you're going to do the code. So the code is you basically just say x equals to x times x. So x equals to x times x. So what is the result? X will be equal to 1 again, right? You see that? Because you start with 1, x equals to 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. So now you check again. Check. So if x is less than 10, yes, it is. And then you're going to do the code. The code is x times x, right? So then what is x? X will be still 1. Okay? So do you see that if you do step 3, you're going to get the same thing? So now you see what's going on. So this will give you infinite loop. So this loop will cause your computer to crash. Okay? And because it will never end, this loop will never end. Because every time x will be still 1. Every time x is still 1. And which satisfies this condition, x less than 10. So then the y, so then you just keep on multiplying 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 indefinitely, okay? And that will cause problem. So that's infinite loop problem. Okay, 20 minutes. Let me see whether we have any other questions which are more important. So we have quite a few. So you need to go over this, okay? Go over that. So I am going to, so the last 20 minutes, I'm going to not go over this anymore. So I'm going to create new functions here, okay? New functions. So that I think is probably most difficult part for some students. So the first one, write a method to swap values between two integer variables. Does it make sense? So you create a method that will do that will swap two values. So basically, so if I give you A and a B, and then you will put A's value into B's value and B's value into A's values, right? So here I'm going to just do it using word here. So you're going to have two inputs and two outputs, okay? and let's say void, void, okay, and then swap, okay. So two integers, right? So integer a and integer b, and then we will get out new integer a, new a, just a new a, and then out an integer new b, okay. Brackets. So whenever you do swap, you have to declare variable to hold one of the result, one of the value, one of the input, and then you use that to swap. Do I have to do that? I don't think so. I don't think so because this one is pretty simple because we already have variables a and b. Okay, so new a will be equal to b. Okay, we don't need to declare another variable. And new b will be equal to a. So in this case, a simple swap. Okay, because we already have this output parameters instead, so we do not need to have like a temporary variable to hold a and then do swap. So this is actually a solution. This is a simple one. Okay. And next one, let's say suppose write a function to compute the result of the function. So basically you are given a formula, and then you're given a and b as inputs, and then you're trying to get return y, all right, y as output. And so this in this case also handle exception when b equals to 0. So let's do it here. Okay. Let me do that using. Just use a pen. Okay, so instead of typing, so I'll create more spaces here. All right, so we are going to create a function that will return double because the y is going to be double after the calculation, right? So double, okay, and then let's just say the name of function is called the name of a function, which is compute what? Compute y, okay, something like that. And then we are given two inputs. So those are double A and a double B. Okay. And then here, and then we are going to just say, so basically you have to divide by B, 3B. So if B is 0, then you're going to throw exceptions. So if B equal to 0, then you do say throw new exception. Okay, and then the divider is 0, something like that. Okay. Okay. And then else, so let me create more spaces here. Okay. Else, then we are just simply return the function. The function will be what? Just this one. So 1 minus 2 times a, okay, and then divided by parentheses 3 times b, okay, and then you times a minus 1 times a minus 1, and then times b plus 2, whatever. Okay, so that's just a way to get that. Okay. All right, and then next question, create a method to multiply 3 integers. I think I can skip that one. That's easy one. And then go to for, create a method that return last character given a string. Okay, so I think I did something like that before. So what I would do is, given a string, I return last character. So let's say this time I will use char as output. Char, okay, and say last char. Okay, and the input is a string. Let's just say that's a message, MSG. Okay. So if you create a last char, then you will just make the message, split the message into individual arrays. So I'll do say char, and then say, so this is a small letter char, so that I don't like this typing automatically change case for me. Chars, and then equal to MSG, let's do 2 char array, okay? And just simply return chars, and last one, which is what? Chars dot length, okay? And then -1, don't forget that, because all the array started when the first number for the index is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to the length -1. That will be the last character. So this is how you go. You do this. Just use a char as output. Okay. If you're going to do your substring as the output, then you're going to do something a little bit different. So in that case, I will just simply, so let's just type here, so string, and then there's last char, okay, and then there's a string message, okay, and then the code. So to get the last character, we will have to get a length. Okay. So first of all, let's say integer length will be equal to MSG dot length. Okay, so get the length first. And then to get the last character, we basically just say message MSG dot sub string. Okay, the last position will be length -1, and then take 1 character, and then you return that. So that is another way to get a last character. The last character will be returned as a string, which is inside a double quote instead of a single quote. So here, that will be the result will be in single quote. Okay. Create a method to compute factorial. So basically, the result, the output is going to be integer, and the input is going to be also integer. So just keep on multiplying, right? So let's just do that quickly. It should be very simple. Okay. So before that, I'm going to declare output. Okay, declare result equals to 1, because we do multiplications. Remember that, right? So first of all, okay, sorry for that. We need to create a function for this one. So I'm going to create a function head. Okay, the function is going to return integer, and then let's just say the function is called factorial. Okay, and the integer n. Okay, and then you do the code inside. Okay, so first, before the loop, I'm going to initialize. Result to 1, and then we do for integer I equals to 1, and I less than equal to n, and I plus plus, and every time I will just use result equals to result multiplied by I. Okay, and that loop, after the loop is finished, you can just simply say return result and close this. That is complete the function. Okay, so next one, I think I can skip because I think you did something like that in homework. So if you did not do homework correctly, make sure you check answer keys. Okay. And this one to letter grade. So basically, you're going to create a function that, if you're given like a numerical grade, like if you have 85, then you have to map to like a B, right? And then if you get it like a 93, then you map to A, something like that. So basically, this is to letter grade. I think here I can skip that one. I believe. I think we just did this one, right? For your homework. And then this one create a method sum or difference, which accepts 2 whole number inputs, and then returns their sum and the difference as output parameters. So this is actually very it's not a tricky question, just just kind of a concept to show you how to do output parameters. So here we are going to do void and then sum and div. Okay, and then you're given two inputs. So the integer a and integer b. Okay, and then you're going to get two outputs. One is a sum and one is difference. So you say out integer sum and out integer difference. Okay, so put that everything inside the parentheses, and the result is actually the code is actually pretty simple. So sum will be simply just a plus b, and div will be equals to a minus b. Okay, so code is very simple. It just basically asks you to understand how to use output parameters. Next question: create a method splits full name like this into first name and last name. So let's do that quickly. Let me see. I think I have enough time. All right. So here I would stop. We'll do it here. Okay. So suppose you are given the full name and then you want to split into last name, first name separate. So you're going to have two output. Okay, void, and then split. Okay. Void split name. So what we are given is a full name string. Full name. Okay, but then we will be getting two output. Both of them are string. So that would be first f name, comma, and out string and last name. I do not have enough space. I use multiple space, but does not matter as long as you have a comma separating those inputs. The parameters should be okay. Hold on, I think I do here. Oh, it's not too much. This one. Right. So let's just do the code after that. Okay. So you're going to, so what you're going to do is, so for the full name, you're going to split by the space, and then you're going to return this full name, last name. So assuming that the first name first, last name next, and then there's space in between. So I will going to split first, string, and then just say string, and then say names, okay, equal to full name, which is input, and then say dot split, and then let's split by a space, like put a space in here, like that, okay? And then we can just say f name equals to names, the first one, which is 0, an array, and last name, it will be names 1, semicolon. So it's very simple as that, right? So split, and then use the array, use the first element of array to make a first name, so on and so forth. Okay. And this one, create a method that returns the standard deviation and the mean of given three numbers. Oh, okay. So that is a little bit different from what we did in homework. So basically, you are going to return mean and standard deviation also. I will just call that as a simple stat. Okay. Okay. So you are given three numbers. Let's just say double A, double B, double C, comma, and then we're going to have two output, out, double, and min, comma, and then out, double, and then std dev. Okay, so what is actual code? And actually this time it should be simpler than the previous one. Okay, so how do we get a mean? So first of all, we calculate a mean. Mean will be equal to a plus b plus c and divided by 3. Very simple. Okay, and then what about the standard deviation? So we'll continue next line. So let me just type here. So standard deviation. Let's calculate the variance first. Okay, variance double v equals 2. So I'm going to use a minus the mean. Oh, you have to do, sorry. So that's not right. So you have to use a math that, so I will do the next slide here. Okay, so variance is v, right? Double, okay, so we have to say double v equals 2. So first mass to the power a minus mean, okay, comma 2 plus mass to the power b minus mean, comma 2, and plus mass to the power c dot minus mean, comma 2. So after that, you're going to divide by 3 also. So v equals to v divided by 3. And then finally, standard deviation. What is the variable for that? The variable is std dv. So you can just say std. Let me create more lines after that. So std dev equals to mass dot square root of v. There we go. That's it. Okay. All right, and then we finish all the functions, all the methods, and we finish half of code analysis. Just make sure you finish the rest. And then there are 2 hands-on questions. I will strongly suggest everyone to do those before the class, before the exam. Okay. The first one is to create a form with text box that shows the user to enter a birth date and a label to show age, and then perform the following tasks. So first one is create a method that validates whether a text box is empty or not. If it's empty, then you use a message box to indicate so. So actually, yeah, you can do that. Instead of using message box, I think it's better just use a boolean. Okay, so what we'll do is I will just say create a function which is input is text box. Okay, so let's just say validate. Okay, input is text box. Okay, let's say A. Okay, and output is some kind of text message. Okay, but you can use a boolean, yes or no. Okay, so I want you to do that. So if a dot text is equal to empty, okay, then you can just say return. What is the message? Return say so what does I say here? If it is empty, you show message box. Okay, so you can just say, well, if it's use a message box, sorry for that. If you use a message box, you should not use string. You use just a void. Okay, you do not return anything. So then we'll just not return, and then we'll say message box dot show. Okay, and then say the box is empty. Okay, make sense? So let's put a few more lines here, and else, then just also use a message box again. Message box dot show, and then you say the box is not empty. Is not empty. Okay, so I cannot type anything outside the boundary. So, okay, so just say is not. Okay, do that, and then close the whole function. So in this case, just basically, I think it's trying to test you, what should be output, because you are using message box to output, so you're not returning anything, so this should be void. Okay. And the next function is a create a method to compute age or given birth date. So that I think I can skip, right? The second question, create a method to compute the total net present value given the interest rate and also list of future payments. So that is a finance question. So let me just in case I think everybody should have taken finance, right? So let's just say, suppose you have a bunch of payments, right? So let's say 50 currently, and then next year you pay 100, and then 110, and then 200, like that, okay? And suppose interest rate is like 0.5%, just 5%, okay? So then what is the present value of that? So present value is going to be whatever money you have now is what's the current value. But then for future values, for example, for 100, it actually is only worth 1 plus 0.05. Okay, and then for the next year after that, the value is even worth less. So that will be 1 plus 0.05 squared. Okay, and then plus the last one, 200, that will be 1 plus 0.05 cubed. So that will be present value, how you calculate that. Okay. All right, I think I went over all the questions in the review list, and now let me see whether you have any questions. I think quite a few people already left because I passed time by 3 minutes. So let me stop recording